I serve as a student body president at the University of South Carolina, and student government is so excited to host this event, Conversations on Community, with our very own university president and mayor of the city of Columbia. Today's event will be an open conversation between our two distinguished leaders, and we will open it up at the end for questions pertaining to the topics and items that we'll be focusing on today. So we're joined by special guests Dr. Michael Amaritis and Mayor Daniel Rickenmann. Thank you both for your time. We're so delighted to have y'all join us here. So a round of applause for both of them for being here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Neither of them need any introduction, but I just wanted to share with you all some of their background with the university and living here in the city of Columbia. So as you all may know, before coming back home to Carolina from his time at UIC, President Amaritis spent more than 2 decades at our Columbia campus as a faculty member, department chair, administrator, as well as the vice president for academic affairs and provost. He and his wife, Iro, who holds the most degrees in their family, are the parents of 2 children who are both graduates of the University of South Carolina. And he has exhibited a focus on students, doing so through prioritizing students, hosting Imagine Carolina events, and creating intentional relationships with the student body. And now I'd like to introduce our mayor, Daniel Rickenmann. Mayor Rickenmann was born and raised in Spartanburg, South Carolina. He came to the university in 1987 and fell in love with Columbia and never left. After graduating, he worked to start his own business, where he successfully led a restaurant and created opportunities to invest and grow in the Columbia community. He has served 2 stints on the Columbia City Council, both as an at-large member and a member from District 4. He's a proud graduate and alumna of the University of South Carolina, so we have a whole lot of Gamecock love in the room today. The student body is so thankful for y'all's leadership and for being here today. It signifies to us as students your commitment to working together and creating a better place for all of us to study, to play, and to live. I know that back in August, the 3 of us had a conversation on community and how the University of South Carolina can work in tandem with the city of Columbia to support students, graduates, the greater Columbia community, and our state. So I'm so excited that we have the opportunity to continue this conversation here today. But before we get started, I want to give a special shout out to 2 groups with us. First, the USC representatives on the Mayor's Advisory Council. They're here with us tonight. Will y'all please stand and be recognized?
Don't be shy. Y'all are in the room. I see you.
This group meets with other student leaders from colleges and universities in the Columbia community and work with the mayor to communicate what's going on with young individuals and students in the city of Columbia. This event was their idea, and we would not be here without their hard work. Another group that I want to take a minute to recognize is the Student Government Relations team. So if you're here from any of the government relations teams, we all please stand and be recognized as well.
All right. Force.
We are joined specifically by the City Advocacy Commission, an agency within our government relations teams who focus their efforts and work all year on university and city student areas of interest. And they're going to give us a brief summary on their findings and topics for the year. So I'll invite our director, Alexis Mertz, and the CAC team to share with us a little bit about their research and their report from this past year.
Good evening. I would like to thank everyone in attendance this evening and the people who made this event possible. Thank you, Rudy. My name is Alexis Mertz, and I am the director of the City Advocacy Commission within the Government Relations Department of Student Government. We are a nonpartisan lobbying agency that seeks to advocate to our local government officials on behalf of the student body. We accomplish this by formulating a student survey that is released to the whole undergraduate and graduate student body, and we use student insights from this survey to conduct research and draft a report on relevant issues within our community. The issues that were deemed appropriate by the student body to focus on this term were community safety, parking and transportation services, on and off-campus housing, community engagement, and health and well-being. We love our university and the city of Columbia, and we would love to foster a meaningful relationship between the students and the place that they choose to call home. There is a reason why our university and city continue to grow. It's because they are home to the best and the brightest. We want to continue to see our university and city prosper in the ways that they know that they can. It is my honor to share with you the work that we have accomplished throughout our term. And without further ado, I introduce the first community.
Hello. Okay. Sorry. Good evening. My name is Preya Simmons, and I will be representing the City Advocacy Commission's dedication to community safety, along with Kelly Grove and Gracie Auld, who she can't be here today, unfortunately. Because of the incredible amount of school spirit here at the University of South Carolina, game days are a big part of our culture and help to draw in prospective students. The City Advocacy Commission finds it vital to keep Williams-Brice Stadium and surrounding areas well lit with shuttle systems that are organized and trustworthy. We have received feedback from students saying that the shuttle system has been inconsistent and will even skip scheduled stops. Shuttles after the game are essential to safely transporting students back to campus, as well as lowering the rate of drunk drivers on the road. The game day shuttles need a steady schedule that is reliable and easy to access. Bluff Road and Shop Road are two of the busiest roadways near the stadium and even connect to student apartments. Sidewalks need to be added so that pedestrians have a safe path home that does not risk being on the road. To continue with traffic safety concerns, pedestrian and vehicular traffic are in need of improvements. Respondents to the student survey have reported hazardous sidewalk conditions, inadequate crosswalk signals, unsafe infrastructure for biking and scootering, and flooding issues that increase the risk of incidents. In addition to sidewalk development on Bluff and Shop Road, sidewalks on Assembly Street, a green arrow light at the intersection of Blossom and Lincoln Street, and traffic and pedestrian crossing lights at the intersection of Divine Street and Lincoln Street are a few places that would improve traffic safety conditions. In our research, we also decided to take a look at what procedures other schools around the state of South Carolina have in place. We suggest that the College of Charleston's Campus Safety Escort program could be implemented at USC. This program allows students to call a number whenever they feel unsafe, and an officer will come meet them and walk them to their destination. Having a college campus located in the heart of the city brings a lot of benefits, but also poses potential dangers. By maintaining and building upon our relationship between the university and the City of Columbia, we can work together to maximize the benefits and limit the dangers in order to both ensure safety of current students as well as encourage incoming students to spend at least their next 4 years here in Columbia. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jalen Owens. I'm a freshman here, and I'm a part of the parking and transportation subcommittee. My partner is Isabella wasn't able to make it. So I know everyone was given a copy of the survey findings, and I want to point out two numbers that correlate with parking and transportation. The survey results reveal that 51.46% of respondents reported parking and transfer services to be a major issue, and 33.08% of respondents specifically stated that which makes finding solutions to parking and transportation.
And if y'all want to face the audience as well, we can yeah, there we go. We can include them in the conversation.
Okay. Is a hard task. So we realize USC does their best to accommodate for the parking needs. So currently USC has parking prices that are affordable by the majority of students and their parking needs. However, there are a few students who feel that are left out, and so in order to make sure that we are not leaving any students out, we are recommending that USC move to a prorated system. So this will allow students to have cheaper prices if they choose to wait a little bit longer and apply for parking. We understand that there is a lack of space to build a parking garage and designate land as parking lots. As a committee, we like that USC has been able to overcome this problem by adding more parking as part of the Campus Village project. So in terms of transportation, the comment is a great resource for the people of Columbia and students of South Carolina. However, changes can be made to make this resource more user-friendly. For example, the Comment app can have a feature that gives students directions to and from less populated areas of campus and tells them where/when to switch buses if necessary. This will resemble much like Google Maps. Also, the Comment app could be updated to show more reliable waiting times for students at stops. This would also increase safety factors for students and increase consumer confidence in the system. Overall, the university does a great job in accommodating the number of students in our great city of Columbia. Our love for the university and city drives our eagerness to improve on these hard issues. Thank you.
Before we move on to the next topic, I want to give you all an opportunity to comment with any reactions or questions you might have for this group.
It's your house. You go first.
These are my kids, right? So I
Mine.
agree with them 100%. I'm glad, first of all, for the work that you have done. You're identifying the right issues here. The town-gown relationship, because that's why you're here with the mayor, right? There are issues that can be solved exclusively by the university, right? The city doesn't have much to do with how we manage our own parking garages, for example. And there are issues that can be resolved together with the city, and that means, you know, parking on the streets, what is allowed, what is not allowed, some of the municipal parkings that exist, you know, type of zones where we can build another parking garage, and so on. So we need to separate the two. When we're talking about our internal issues, the mayor cannot do much, right? But there are other areas, the safety area, for example, is a different story. And that's one that we can focus on working together. When it comes to pavements on the road, that is something that we cannot address. It has to be, and sometimes is the city, and sometimes, quite frankly, is the state also that needs to come in. So there are complexity of factors there. So you need to take each one of these problems one at a time. You can have this discussion, you can continue, but you are identifying the right issues, and you're consistent with what we had in Imagine Carolina. And some of them we will address. We are very close to making some announcements about parking. I don't want to jump the gun. There is a contractual issue that we need to complete, and the Daily Gamecock already we had this discussion of the record that we are ready to talk about it, but still there is a contract. So I think we will have some relief with parking, but the cost is an issue, and also it's a combination of problems. It's not only parking; it's a combination of parking and transportation, and bike lanes in the area, and other alternatives that we're trying to put together. So that's my first. You're asking for a first reaction. Really, that's it. We want to go to the mayor, and then we can come back also.
First of all, I want to thank you all for doing this.
Yeah.
This is the kind of information, and you being engaged helps us become a better community, because we need to know these issues. We don't live in the same environment that you do every day, where you walk and how you walk. You know, y'all know the story behind the horseshoe, right? They didn't put the bricks down until after they figured out how everybody moved. Well, in the same sense, with things moving constantly in campus, new buildings being built, student housing changing, you know, everybody went to Bluff Road, now everybody's coming back and living downtown, changes our needs. Blossom Street Bridge getting redone, perfect time when that gets redone, adding some more pedestrian friendly so we can connect those together. The left-hand turn at Lincoln, perfect time to do those type of things. But you're right, you know, when it comes to getting people safely back from a football game, not only is it the shuttles, but that's a DOT road. So we need to work with our legislators to make sure that, you know, they built a sidewalk going out to Copper Beach or whatever the furthest one is out. Well, we need to do the same thing coming back to campus. I'm knocking on wood that we get the rail realignment grant so that we can get the rail out of the way, so that we can be safer on Assembly Street and some of the other crossings, along with the quiet zones, which allows us to add more safety features to the crossing, which then means we don't have the horns and a whole lot of other things going through, and really making it a safer environment all around. We're one of the few cities in South Carolina that have 60 rail crossings. And why it's really critical for us is because the inlet port that's in the upstate and connecting with the port down has increased traffic on the train traffic by 47%. And they're only expecting it to increase with all the investment that we're getting in automotive, which is great for our economy, but we're stuck in the middle. We pay the price for it. So trying to get the rail realignment and get rid of 15 crossings, making it safer just for emergency vehicles alone, let alone pedestrians, bikers. As we talk about parking, where can we come up with creative ways to where the city and the university can work together to create some places to park, and but make the connectivity through the greenways and other trails so that you don't have to rely on parking, you know, in front of so you got a place to park, and then everywhere else there you can make your way across the campus and across the city as we continue to integrate. So I applaud y'all for so far what I've heard. This is great. This is what we've been trying to do. That's why we made this council of engagement, is to that. And we have an opportunity to create a town and gown. And what you're telling us is what other campuses are issuing. So this is great. Thank y'all. Thank y'all so much.
So you talk about the railroads, and I'm sure you hear transportation with the city all the time. What is the city's vision for transportation, whether that be parking or bikes or scooters or whatnot?
I think we want to see more utilization of public transportation. You know, I personally don't understand why we charge for the bus service. You know, you look at other cities, it's free and it's integrated with all the campuses and around, so it gets used. How do we figure out to create more massive transit? You know, long term, it'd be nice to have a little bit of, I hate to use the term light rail, but I mean, we both are overseas. My parents came here from Switzerland. You know, I'm first generation. I got to spend some time overseas. Well, I never get in a car when I go visit my family. I don't need to, because I can get out of the bus and there's a tram waiting on me, and that tram takes me to the train station, and everything is clockwork. I never wait more than 10 minutes, and I'm getting places. And so how do we think about the future?
You can do work in the plane.
Yeah.
You don't waste your time. Yeah.
And, you know, long term, you know, we got to think about how we become more connected so that we don't have to have our vehicles for everything. And I think what I heard from a lot of students loud and clear is, you know, part of the reason that we're not staying in Columbia as well is that we want to live, work, and be entertained in an area where we don't have to use our car all the time. We're not interested in commuting. We want to be downtown. And so one of our goals is to figure out how do we keep all this bright talent here and listening to what they're asking for, downtown living. There are only 3,400 people that live in downtown Columbia in the center. It needs to be 10,000. Think about it, there are 10,000 people living downtown. Restaurants, retail, the connectivity, the opportunity to use, there's an electric taxi now. I don't know if anybody's used it. They do it for tips. They ride around the Vista and Five Points and other places. We hope to see more of that. But we got to work together to identify where are the gaps and how do we fill that gap. Well, the only people who can help us with that are y'all, because you're living it day in and day out. So thank you. Really, I mean, I really mean that from the bottom of my heart. Thank you, because this is what we've been trying to do for the last 12 months is get people engaged and solve these problems. And y'all are our future. You probably haven't heard it, but I literally say wherever I go, I'll take 60,000 students in this community over the ocean any day of the week.
Mm-hmm.
So, thank you.
By the way, I feel uncomfortable. You're standing out there. Feel free, sit down, and whoever is going to present the report, stand up and present the report. So don't. You can get the first rows there.
Good evening. I'm Olivia Smeltzer, a freshman criminal justice major, and I wrote the on and off campus housing portion of this report along with my partner, Ainsley Brock. Columbia is home to all USC students, and there should be comfortable and affordable housing for all students who choose to attend this school. Currently, there is not enough housing for all students, mainly freshmen, who are required to live on campus, and some students live in older, less well-kept dorms. Some students, specifically in the quads, have to live with another person in one person-sized room. This can be shown through 49% of respondents indicating that they think housing is too expensive and not as accessible as it should be. Another point is that there are not enough affordable off-campus housing options, and many of them become unavailable early in the school year. We propose that the university and city officials work closely to continue approving university housing plans so that there can be more on-campus housing options for the number of students USC chooses to accept. We also propose that the city partner with off-campus housing companies to develop a resource on the City of Columbia website that contains available housing options. Students are unaware of all the options available to them, so a concise resource would make it easy for students to find a place to live that fits their needs. USC students want to call Columbia home, but we need your help to expand housing options so more students can comfortably call this great city our home. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kayla Juffe, and this is Kate Stodden. I am a junior studying political science, and Kate is a sophomore studying political science. And we wrote the community engagement and outreach portion of this report, and we have a few suggestions for both the university as well as the City of Columbia to help foster a stronger relationship between local businesses and the Carolina community. So when tackling this issue, we found that 33.38% of the students who responded to our survey indicated that they wanted the local government and the school to focus on the issues of community engagement. So suggestions we have to encourage this is an Explore Columbia Day, which is similar to something that College of Charleston already has, which is Explore Charleston Day. And that is basically where they have their students explore the city and learn what the businesses around town have to offer. And in addition to being able to become aware of these businesses, we suggest providing our students the opportunity to get involved in the community, and this would entail a larger scale of job fairs that are already offered, which can showcase volunteer opportunities, job openings, and hosting other vendor sales of businesses in the community. So incorporating these suggestions can help encourage alumni of our school to stay in the Columbia community in order to positively impact not only the Carolina community, but also the economy of the city of Columbia. Thank you.
Before we move on, do you want
You-
to touch on engagement?
Comment?
Go ahead.
I mean, I think the housing is a great thing to talk about. How do we incorporate, because your freshman year, I think, is always the most important, and that's how you meet people. That's how you engage in the university. So how do we work closer together to provide that? You know, it's unbelievable to have 47,000 people apply to the University of South. It's a compliment to who we are as a university. But how do we deal with it, taking care of those? I know this year there was a tremendous amount of freshmen living off campus that want to live on campus. So how do we work together to achieve that? Well, let's find the balance to do that. You know, we've got a beautiful campus here, and I know some neighborhoods don't want more student housing, but I think if we do it the right way and we engage with each other, we can make that happen. I think the idea of letting people know what's available is a great idea, but I think it's not just limited to housing. I think sharing information, cross-pollinating our campuses, not just this campus, but Benedict, Allen. I mean, there's 60,000 students in our community. How do we connect more and let them know it's not just, you know, like the McKissick Museum. How many people been to the McKissick Museum in here? Y'all are missing out. This is one of the best kept secrets in Columbia, South Carolina. But when you have an event on campus, or you have an opportunity where somebody can go and share ideas or participate in homecoming concerts, we need to share that with the community. So when you talk about community engagement and I love the idea of having an Explore Columbia Day. I think every freshman that comes to the University of South Carolina or a transfer student should have to float down the river in the month of August. And I'll tell you why. Because for 3 hours, you're on the river, and not only do you see the city from a totally different place, but you're seeing its nature and its beauty and its best. There's not many places in the southeast that have Class 2 rapids and Spanish moss and a skyline on the backside. But you also get to meet people. I met more people on the river. I did 3 trips this past summer. One trip, we took 24 site consultants from around the world. They came to Columbia on a Sunday. So I'm like, what are we going to do with them? We took them to the river and then did a picnic. It might have been the best thing. Well, we served some beer too, I'm not going to lie. But doing all that, they got to see our city in a totally different perspective, and they got it. They understood why Columbia is a special place. It's not just the flagship university or the state capital. It's all the pieces together. The river and everything. So exploring, going to the Congaree National Forest, going to parts of town, taking the SC63 Civil Rights Tour. I've learned more over the last year and a half from different things that have happened in our city. We were a leader in the civil rights movement before a whole lot of other cities who got credit for the things that we had already done as a community. but seeing all those aspects and engaging, and there's a group called CORE. We started it back in the early 2000s about trying to keep young talent here. And they have a Capture Columbia program and a crash course in Columbia. Y'all ought to look it up and do it. It's exactly what you're talking about. You get a snapshot of Columbia in a whole. It's good for people who've never been here. It's also good for those of us who are here to remind us what all the great things we have. So let's work on it together. I love this idea. I love the idea of trying to figure out how we make a better impression. I think Experience Columbia during open house, when people are coming to have their freshman experience, they see a lot on that film, but how do we take that from film into a personal experience? Because that gets you invested. You know, a lot of people don't know about Soda City still. It's a great event. You know, a way to tag in. So I'm all ears. Let's take the ideas. I'd love to see the data that went with this and all the ideas. So how do we pick those ideas and turn it into a program that can enhance by Capture or expand from Capture? But, you know, there's no reason to reinvent the wheel. Let's take what's already out there and just make it better and more inviting. I think y'all are hitting all the right things. It's amazing, but it's important that we hear it and we work together. And I will tell you, the president has committed since he got here to do that. We talk quite frequently about things and how we can make this community stronger, because it's all of us. We're not a city and we're not a university. We are a community.
Let me go back to housing, because this year was a tough year. It was the last year before the South Campus opens up. And as a result, given the class that we had, we were not able to put everybody where we wanted them, the freshman class. And we had to move outside to different areas, private housing that we rented. This is not going to be the case next year. We're bringing in close to 2,000 beds into the inventory that we have. And that will change. It's a game changer. Now, we have some challenges with the South Campus. We need to make sure transportation is there. Everybody can come, the walking paths, safety around it, all of these are taken care, and we'll have a good start in the fall. This will allow us to reconsider some of the housing projects that we have, especially the older ones. What are we going to do with them? Because there are two choices there. Do you renovate? Do you demolish? Right? Or alternatively, do you use for another function or build something in their place? Especially some of them that they have relatively small capacity. Because we're bringing 2,000 beds and may have, or 1,900, what's the exact number, Rex? 1850? No, 18 and change, okay. But it's there, you can round it around, you can see the big difference. So that will take care of all the freshmen without any question. The issue that you brought is a little bit broader. You were not talking only about freshmen, you were talking about sophomores as well, and you were talking not about housing, because there's plenty of housing. You were talking about more affordable housing, right? So we have to separate this. There is a significant interest from sophomores to stay in. I think we will be able to satisfy a good portion of it for this coming year. And then we're bringing in some designers to have a discussion about what we're going to do with the existing dorms. So I think for the next 2 or 3 years, we're in good shape with housing to be able to serve all the freshmen and serve vast majority of the sophomores. Rarely students beyond that level, juniors and seniors, rarely want to stay on campus, right? Because it's a choice. You can go or you cannot go. And if they stay on campus, it's usually in specific dorms that they're nearby the Horseshoe. I don't worry about the short term. We need to make decisions about the long term. This is the part. And I understand that why some students want to stay in the dorms even later, and it may be financial reasons, actually, compared to what you have with other leases and what you need to deal with. In terms of the community engagement, I love the idea as well. I think having a day of exploring Columbia is great. It's a great idea. We need to embrace it. We need to work with the city through student affairs. I love it. I wouldn't go into the river, you go into the river, that's great. It's my different, I like waters that they're calm, clear, like the Mediterranean. That scares me a little bit, but it's a great, I think the honors college used to do this, and I don't know if they still do it at the beginning of the year, to come down with boats from the river. And it's a wonderful experience, it's a bonding experience. I think what I heard from you may have a different perspective also, because you talked about connecting with the businesses. And connecting with the businesses, it's a twofold thing. Connecting with the businesses as a customer and consumer, but you may talking about connecting with the businesses as a potential employee and employer. There is some good news around this line. One of our major requests for funding from the state was for $4.5 million to allow us to support 1,000 students every year to do internships. To do internships with local businesses, maybe even non-profit organizations, and who they will pay them, but who will give another amount to the students as an incentive to do that they can use the next year or even the same year for tuition, cost of attendance, whatever you want to do with it. Good news is that in the budget that came through the House yesterday, this is included. It's a little bit down. We asked for 4.5. We're getting 3.5. That basically means that if we do 1,000 students, we can provide approximately 3,000 per student to do that. And there is an incentive there for the businesses that they will hire our students. And that basically means that there will be a lot of interest to get you in. If that's part of what you were talking about, engaging with businesses, I think that we will have a wonderful opportunity now to coordinate this with local businesses. And quite frankly, the idea is not for you to do, something that has nothing to do with your degrees, but also in the areas that you work, with the hope that you will stay here. If you start developing relationships, you do an internship, and you are offered a permanent job, we hope that some of you will stay here if you're not thinking, if you're thinking about going somewhere else. So this is another opportunity, if that's what was meant by engaging with the businesses, and you will have this opportunity. Probably we'll start this next fall. And it could be an internship that is a couple of months in the summer, could be one semester, could be long the year, whatever it is, we will be able to supplement them and make it even more attractive, both for the students and for the businesses.
Mr. President, you've touched on this a little bit, but I think in talking about student engagement, it's important to talk about engaging with our current students and our students who are graduated. So how is the city and the university working together on economic development and providing job opportunities for our students?
Well, I think Capture Columbia was one of the things we talked about, internships, and I think I didn't know about this funding, which is great because that opens up more experience. But I think part of it is the dialogue. Communication, a lot of what we're talking about is communication. And we've got to open that communication so that we can showcase to people. There's companies here that are hiring right now, 225 people at Amrock, which is based in a university building here. They're looking for people today. We're working with the business school to tap into the alumni, to bring some more business leaders, not only expose folks and students and graduates to opportunities here in Columbia, but trying to attract new businesses here to create more opportunities for the long run. We want a community where you have the ability to have any job that you can have where else, and you make your decision about where you're going based on where you want to live. And I can't think of a better place to live than Columbia, South Carolina. I can't say it any other way. I did not want to live here when I graduated. I was going to Africa to work at a safari camp, and I stayed one more football season. And during that football season, my friends took jobs here. They started businesses here. And it showed me a path that there's an opportunity because this community supports its local businesses and their entrepreneurs and their startups and their companies. And so we want to continue to foster that type of atmosphere. We lost it for a period of time. We only had a little less than 2.5% growth over the last decade. in Columbia. And part of it is we missed opportunities. We missed engaging with the students, missed showing and showcasing our businesses. The Council of Student Engagement went and met with the MLBG, so this is the 50 biggest businesses in Columbia. And those guys heard firsthand from the students that we don't know about your internships, we don't know about your businesses. So their thought that they were reaching out and getting wasn't working there. So some of that falls on us as leaders to make sure we open more doors and create more community engagement and engaging with y'all. So literally for the last year, that's what we've been focused on, trying to engage with the student populations to introduce them to the opportunities that are here if you want to start your own business, clearing the levelizing the playing field, taking the hurdles out of the way so that you can be that founder, that you can have a mentor, that you can have an internship or an apprenticeship. We're seeing it from the medical field to the manufacturing field, but also working with the business school about identifying our fellow alumni who have graduated and are in C-suite positions. So you have an attachment to our university, so let's leverage that. What can you bring to Columbia, South Carolina, where we know we have the talent to present to you? Because you're right here in this room. So working in tandem, we also, it's the little things of engagement. So we have a program, we're going after an Apple store for Columbia, South Carolina, and the students are creating an ambassador program on every campus to put a social media campaign to the leadership at Apple to share with them why they should build a store here. Well, think about if we can get an Apple store here by using our voices, what else can we do together? So there's hundreds of different little things happening. We just got to communicate it. And I went to a meeting today, and I'll be honest, I went to the meeting, I was like, how do they not know that this is what we're doing in the community? I feel like I'm, preaching it all the time, but what I realized is, as hard as we're trying to share information, we're still missing people. We're still not getting it out. So we got to figure that way out. With all the technology that we have today and, being able to post stuff, we're still missing the message. So working together to use our assets, our alumni, our campus, our research. Dr. Amaritas is making sure that we're focused on bringing research dollars here, that we're leveraging all these trademark patents and everything we have to bolster business here. He's proven that he's done it. He's lived it. That's what excites me, is because the university's engaging, the city's engaging, and now we're trying to engage more and get the students in our community engaged. We want to grow restaurants, retail, but we also want to grow cybersecurity. 2.7 million jobs, $89 billion is what it's worth to South Carolina today. It could be 5 times that if we just put the effort behind it. So doing the things, using our network to bring those folks here and create more opportunities. And part of it in my world is selfishly is that I've got 2 daughters who aren't living here. I want them to be able to come here if when they want to raise a family and be close to us. But I don't think they ought to sacrifice their career or what they built up to do it. They ought to have the same opportunities here. So that's what we do every day when we wake up.
The relationship between the city and the university is symbiotic. Like we live together. We have common goals. When you're talking about economic development cannot be achieved with one factor. All the factors have to be aligned and include the state in there. From the very, very beginning, I made it very clear to the mayor and to the governor that, hey, I'm here. We want to be part of it. We want to assist because it's to our benefit. And they're taking me up on this. Right? They are taking us up for this, the entire university. Because I'm not there as an individual. I'm there representing all the skills and the assets of the university. We have a very important dinner, for example, coming up on Sunday with the governor, and that's, that could be an excellent opportunity. We are leading an effort now as USC, together with our friends at other institutions, and we will get more details out when they're ready, to try to secure one of the innovation hubs that the federal government is putting together. This is a big deal. If we are successful in this, it will be transformational because we are talking about startups. We are talking about new technologies, and we are talking about an ecosystem that we don't have right now. We're not going to become Boston or Austin or Silicon Valley overnight, right? But there is a strong interest at the federal level to spread these areas of innovation across the country in different areas. And I really believe that South Carolina, in particular the city of Columbia, the city of Greenville as well, and we don't have to compete on something like this. We can work together on this. They're ready for something like this, and there is an opportunity. That will take effort, time. We're already putting into it. We'll talk more when we are ready.
Awesome. I think we have one more.
Hello.
Hey.
Good evening. My name is Piper Thomas, and I am currently a junior at the University of South Carolina. I am majoring in advertising with a minor in psychology, and I am a proud member of the City Advocacy Commission. My partner Allison Brand and I worked together on the Health and Wellbeing Subcommittee, but unfortunately she was not able to make it tonight. Our main focus was on our student body's mental health specifically. According to our student outreach survey, around 35% of respondents are satisfied with USC's mental health services, but 39% of respondents are dissatisfied with their services or with USC's services and find them ineffective. 21% of respondents from the student body would like to see improvement with the current status of the university's health center in regards to mental health. Currently, there are 4 different counseling programs where students can take advantage of the free mental health screenings, consultations, and walk-in same-day services. Students who struggle with depression or anxiety may not be motivated to go to class, study for exams, or complete assignments. Mental health setbacks also affect your sleep cycle, which cause students to potentially miss class due to lack of rest. As you can see, having good mental health practices is essential for excelling as a good student. On a level pertaining to the university, we would propose a change in the current attendance policy by adding at least 1 excused mental health day, as this would help students have time to recuperate properly so that they can turn in their best work. Our local elected officials can help by understanding the importance of a healthy mental state amongst the student body at the University of South Carolina and advocate on their behalf. For example, they can provide representation for the various counseling and mental health services at the university via various social media platforms like Instagram and TikTok, so that everyone is more informed on this topic. They can also spread awareness by posting different hotlines that students can call to get help with whenever they need it. Surprisingly, our local government can also play a vital role in the health and well-being of students. A study from BC Healthy Communities found that a community environment can impact the mental health of its members. Having reliable transportation options, being a member of a well-connected community, and having outdoor activities such as community bike rides that promote healthy lifestyles can all positively impact an individual's mental health, and we believe improvements in the City of Columbia in these areas would highly be beneficial to our student body. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me jump into this because this is primarily on us. The city can help in some ways by, in general sense, improving the quality of life. You know, if there are parks, if there are areas that people can relax and use, helps. But the 95% or 98% of what you're talking about is within the university. This came out loud and clear during the Imagine Carolina. We made a commitment, a significant commitment in terms of funds. We need to give you an update of where we are because we are hiring, and at the same time, we have gotten new services, and Student Affairs can talk at another meeting that you have, Mr. Tolliver and the director of the center. It's interesting, it's a pandemic. The issue of mental health is a pandemic. It's across, and it's international. There are several reasons. It's very difficult to catch up. And you mentioned some severe cases when we're talking about bipolar disorders or when you're talking about depression. right, which is very dangerous at times. We need to make sure that all of these are treated and triaged, and they are treated immediately. I think part of the issue there is also that some problems and cases that students face, that they are lighter, but they still need help, right? Has to do more with wellness. Help me feel better. It's not at the level that some severe cases are, that they need immediate attention, but they still need help. I think the idea, and I saw it in the report, the idea of creating some wellness classes or groups, don't call them classes, groups, right? Wellness groups, whether this is, and I think you mentioned yoga somewhere here, or discussions that people have among themselves, or strategies. How do you avoid stress, right, during exams? Or how do you avoid stress with housing, different areas? Can be done effectively with small groups and not necessarily one-on-one, which takes a lot of time and effort. Now, some individuals, because believe me, it's not only students. We face some of these issues with staff members as well, and with faculty. Right? Some feel comfortable in groups and some don't. But at least give the choice there to create some of these wellness classes, to train and give tools to people on how to deal with it. That's something new that we will do, and correct me if I'm wrong, Rex, we are not doing much of it at this point, but we are trying to get it started to address some of these issues as well. Work with us. Let us know what the issues are. We'll continue to collect information. I'm willing to invest even more into this, but I don't know if money and positions are going to solve the problem. That's what we're struggling with right now. As you know also, we have a new service which is 24/7, right? But we hear that some of the students don't like it. They don't want to use it. They want to do face-to-face, right? If you're talking about 24/7 and you're talking about Sundays, right, and Saturdays and nights, it's very difficult to find professionals that they're going to work in this area, that they are qualified for it. So we want to solve the problem. Resources are not the issue. I'm willing to put more resources into it. We're trying to figure out how.
Not mental health specific, but on the topic of health and well-being, the university is looking to grow and expand our health sciences programs, and with a new health sciences campus on the horizon in the Bull Street District. Can you elaborate what this will mean for the city and for the university?
Well, for the university, it's transformational because we're taking the medical school from the VA campus, which was some distance, and we're bringing it less than 2 miles from this campus. So we're getting closer. Still, 2 miles is a distance, but we're getting it closer. We're going to have the best facilities in the country for a few months until the next one is built. It becomes better. And already we are out there. Yesterday, I believe the group visited Emory to look at what others have done and how can we achieve this. And it's not going to be only medical school. There's going to be opportunities for the health sciences, especially in terms of research and maybe some clinical activities. It's going to be close to the hospital, and that's important for all of our health sciences students. And it's going to create a new district, actually, which is an academic district, right there in the Bull Street area. Don't forget also that we broke ground 2 days ago at Lexington with the nursing program. Our nurses are going to be there also as another outpost that we have. And these are important aspects because we are bringing our students very close to the professional training. Because that's why we are doing this, because they need to be in hospitals to do well, and we need to be educated, right? And we need to have our researchers next to the hospitals in order to be able to do the work. So it's really exciting.
Thank you.
And I want to move, as you heard me saying earlier today, really, I don't want to wait for 5 years or so. It makes no sense. We can speed it up.
Yes, well, thank you to the government relations teams for your questions. I have a question for you all. What can we be doing as students and as student leaders to support the collaboration between the city and the university?
First step is this.
Engaged.
I mean, engaging and sharing. I mean, this is powerful. This is very powerful. For one, it's because you put time and effort in it. You addressed issues that are important to you, but they also affect the fabric of the city. And we really are a community together. It's not town and then the gown, or the gown and then the town. It's really us as a community. So the first step, communicating more. You know, I hear a lot from the engagement council, but you know, feel free to engage. Come to a meeting, send emails, talk about issues that are affecting the quality of your life when you're here in our community. Let us know the good, the bad, suggestions, ideas. Y'all all get an opportunity to visit other cities and see other things. Well, tell us what should we bring in here? What would make, you know, what restaurant group is great, or what retailer, what outdoor activity? Would a climbing wall downtown be something cool that people would engage with? Is it more access to the river? You know, how do we take the things that y'all are looking for? Well, the only way we can do that and take those ideas and really put them into play is to hear it. So I think our goal is to create better ways of communicating. You know, how do we take all the technology, print, media, everything we have, and use it to communicate? Because everything that we talk about today is around communication. It's truly about communication and how we address it. And I think engaging is the way to do it. And that's face-to-face, having more roundtables. Now, I'll be honest, I'd love to see 500 people packed in a room asking questions and being part of it. But I also like 10 people to show up and say, hey, I want to have lunch. Let's talk about these great ideas. Because you learn every time you meet with somebody, you learn something. Or you see it from a different angle. Or my favorite question is, well, have you thought about it this way? Engagement. Meet and eats, whatever it is, I think is the key for a stronger. Can't just be with us at our level. It's got to be with everybody. You build a city from the bottom up, not the top down. It's how you build a strong community, and that's what we want to do.
Well,
No,
oh, go ahead.
my former institution at the University of Illinois at Chicago is a young university. It was created in the 60s, in the early 60s. And that was a group of urban universities that were created at that time. And it was controversial because the city, the mayor wanted a university, a public university. He wanted it to be near the center of the city. And they ended up demolishing a whole neighborhood in order to put the university there. And always what he was saying is you cannot have a great city without a great public university. This is our relationship. We are here, we grew together here, right, for 200 and some years, together with Columbia. We define Columbia to a large extent. The state capital and the university define what Columbia is. So it's a great relationship that we have, and don't take it for granted. Because when I came here in 1994, the town gown wars were real. And they exist in some other areas. There were a number of presidents before me and a number of mayors that have been working together. And I'm glad to have a mayor who's an alumnus of the university as well. Right? It's interesting. I had some notes here where I want to go into during this discussion, not knowing that you will read your comments. Let me read you what I had written down. Services, critical relationship, is based on services. Safety, transportation, you hit them. You hit them all, right? COLA, which basically means engagement with the businesses and entertainment. You didn't talk about recycling that much. I want to talk with the city about recycling because that's another service that we can have. Infrastructure projects. You talked about infrastructure projects. When you are talking about putting pavements along the road, that's an infrastructure issue and project, and it's beyond the city. It's when the mayor talked about DOT, he means the South Carolina Department of Transportation. We had a great groundbreaking today on Main Street, on South Main, because we are starting a project from the Capitol to Blossom, cut the traffic from 5 lanes to 2 lanes there, increase the pavements, double them so people can walk, put trees on there, take all the power lines down, and make it very similar to North Main. So we take Main now and bring it on this side of the Capitol, and I'm confident that businesses, restaurants, retail will be created in these 4 blocks now inside our campus. So these are things that we're working together. And this decision was between the city, the university, and the state. Student housing was in my lists. And then healthcare, you brought mental health. And we didn't talk much about hospitality. But that's important also for both the city and the university, because we have thousands, tens of thousands of visitors coming here. And without working together with the city, we cannot find places for them to sleep at reasonable prices. We cannot feed them. And all of these are opportunities for us and for the city. I'm saying this to tell you, you hit the right points. You had all the right points, and we really appreciate this. What you can do in the future, keep bringing up ideas, problems. It would help tremendously if you bring solutions together with the problems, right? And everything else that comes to mind when you're thinking about Columbia and the university.
Well, President Amaritas, Mayor Rickaman, thank you so much for joining us today. Audience, thank you for joining, listening, and contributing to this important conversation. We really appreciate your time, and we appreciate y'all's leadership and the willingness to foster this conversation as we work together. I want to encourage all of the students to challenge yourselves, to continue to engage in these conversations, and like the president said, bring ideas and solutions to the concerns that you all have. The government relations team has a couple of copies of their report if you all would like a copy. And there are refreshments and cookies outside, so please pick one up on your way out. And thank you both again for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.